Ito ang Mornings with GMA Regional TV.
Isa pa ring mainit na usapin hanggang ngayon mga kapuso ang agawan ng teritoryo sa West Philippine Sea sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at China. Mapalad tayo this morning dahil ating makakasama ang Center for Strategic and International Studies Senior Fellow at Director for Southeast Asia Program and Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative na si Mr. Gregory Pauling. Atin siyang tatanungin ngayong umaga kung paano ang magiging relasyon ng Pilipinas sa China sa loob ng 6 na taon sa ilalim ng administrasyon ni President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Good morning, Greg, and welcome to Mornings with GMA Regional TV.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We all know, Greg, that for almost a decade, the Department of Foreign Affairs have filed multiple diplomatic protests against China with regards to the territorial disputes. However, the Chinese government has been persistently and aggressively asserting its claims in the disputed islands. What do you think should the Philippine government do, aside from filing diplomatic protests, to uphold its sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea?
But what's clear on the U.S. and the Philippine government side is that we need to strengthen and modernize and evolve the U.S.-Philippine alliance. That's a key step to anything else that Manila might want to do in the West Philippine Sea, because only the alliance deters Chinese aggression. It is the best leverage that the Philippines can have in trying to deter Chinese aggression and move Beijing toward compromise. That can buy the space for a long-term diplomatic effort to bring Beijing around. And part of that effort has to include talking about the 2016 arbitration award again. Diplomatic notes are not enough. Eventually, there needs to be public pressure placed in the UN and elsewhere to get China to comply with that award.
Now, Greg, the Philippines has just elected its new president. Of course, we have the former senator, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. What do you think would the Philippine-China relationship become in the next 6 years under Marcos Jr. administration?
I don't know. President Marcos has a difficult balancing act now. He has said that he will not cede 1 inch of Philippine territory. He's made clear that he supports the American alliance, the Visiting Forces Agreement, and he's surrounded by people, including in the AFP, who want to deepen the alliance because they've seen how China has treated President Duterte for the last 6 years while President Duterte tried to reach out. But at the same time, President Marcos understandably has said that he wants to maintain good relations with China. And I think that that tension is going to be very, very difficult to resolve. What I suspect will happen is the same thing that happened to President Duterte, that after a couple of years of outreach, he realized that China was not reciprocating. And if anything, China was taking advantage of the outreach of the early Duterte government.
Okay, Greg, I understand that you're here in the Philippines for your book entitled On Dangerous Ground, America's Century in the South China Sea. Can you tell us more about this book and what should we expect from it?
So going back through the history and the documents, what we find is that for over a century now, the United States has consistently maintained 2 positions in the South China Sea. One, upholding its alliance commitments. Now, today that only means to the Philippines, but for many decades it also included the South Vietnamese and the Republic of China governments. 2, maintaining freedom of the seas, because the U.S. was born as a trading nation. And for over 200 years, this idea that the oceans are a global commons that we all share has been really vital to U.S. foreign policy interests. Those 2 things have been consistent for over a century, and they will not change. There is still time for the Philippines and its partners and allies to stand on their rights in the international arena, but that time is disappearing. So this should be a call for urgency, not for resignation.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Stay safe.
Thank you, CJ.
Diyan lamang po kayo mga kapuso, magbabalik ang Mornings with GMA Regional TV.
Ito ang Mornings with GMA Regional TV.